vis-a-vis the record, what you should, brilliant stuff that you do, because we teach you to do it. And then we never interrogate the means by which education has been commodified, the credentialing and professionalization of American pursuits of knowledge. Because the kids who are at the airport, when I go there, and they check me down and they work for TSA, and then they got their dog-eared copy of How They Can Hear Me, and they've read that book as much as any college student I've ever assigned it to, or who's ever read it. But they're not in the game. They're not in that certifiable, erudition game. And I say that not just to be facetious, but to be a bit self-critical about how this stuff operates. Well, why don't you get independent and think your own thoughts and do it your own way? What a professor wants me to know Foucault and Derrida. And if I don't show I know Foucault and Derrida, I'm not getting a grade. Now, I can be independent, and I might run across a professor who doesn't want me to regurgitate. You see what I'm saying? The record company, the label head is your professor, right? And if you start bringing the parallel down, it's a hell of an oppressive system at a certain level. So you may not be as free as you are, or you think you are, to interrogate the practices of others that you think are so messed up. And I think that Lupe Fiasco is absolutely right. Because it's not a matter of either getting Lupe Fiasco or Rick Ross. And he was, I think, dead on there. There's a lot of stuff on Rick Ross that's very interesting. Look at the Mason reflection he does with Jay-Z on that song. Look what he does, the song he has with T.I. Or the jam he just got with Nito on there. So, or Cassette Michelle. So the thing is that, I want to buy a bag for my chick and never have to ever take it back. Right? Okay, what the hell is that? Well, because some people go to stores and they get luxury items and they use them for a day or two, rich people especially, and then they take them back. Even the poor people don't get advantaged by and benefited by forms of knowledge, esoteric erudition that will permit them not to buy it for $1,500. That ain't how rich people do it. They go rent it. They go buy it on their car, and then they take it back. There was something wrong with this dress, and I keep buying it. They've already worn it to the event. All I'm saying to y'all is that the moment you put your voice on a tape and distribute it out your car, you're in the game. You're in the game of mass commodification. You're in the game of mass circulation. You're in the game of trying to articulate a vision and certify it and legitimate it and be able to engage in some form of exchange of capital for commodity to promote a vision, even if it's revolutionary. And I think at that level, you got to be honest about it and open to that. That doesn't mean all the brilliant critiques we give and offer of mass commodification aren't true and legitimate, because some are worse than others, and a lot of them are horrible, and they undermine the possibility that people can even have sanity as they create art to change the world. In terms of the gender issue, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's hard to try to, as Lupe Fiasco already did, he gave a brilliant genealogy of how this stuff works and the wages of sin, so to speak, when it comes to demonizing women. And what's interesting as well, I'm sure you would have done this if you had time, the way in which women do it themselves. The most interesting facet of misogyny is not it being articulated in a man's voice. It's the ventriloquist act of misogyny, where women's mouths are open, but patriarchal lies are being spat. That's an interesting thing. And so, in that sense, Gramsci is right. Hegemony is not simply about trying to beat somebody down, but it's about seducing them to become complicit in their own oppression. And the ways in which that happens, and I'm not saying the lion's share of that responsibility should be with women, because men have to be culpable and responsible. And men have to examine our lives. And yeah, why isn't that Janelle Monáe? Why is it that Lauryn Hill? Why isn't it that any woman who doesn't talk about sex and being a sex object is not hidden? And women are not buying her either. Because if that's the case, I think it was Reflection Eternal Part 1 sold 373 copies in its entirety. These cats drink champagne, so death and pain like slaves on the ship, bragging about who got the flyest chain. Dropping mad science and can't even go gold. And some of the stuff that we claim, this is why the Roots opened up their album, quoting from the Spike Lee movie, Negroes don't want no serious art, is what they say. You know, they engage in the account. Because when you make the serious art, how come folk ain't there to buy it? Well, if they don't have budgets to promote it, or if they get, you know, dogged by their, you look at the brilliant honesty that we heard here from Lupe Fiasco about an insider's view about how your own record company is going to war against you as you war against the nefarious forces out there through your art. So they deny you the legitimate opportunity to tell your truth. And if that's the case, when it comes to gender, I think that we have to be honest about all of that stuff and how we've been complicit in that, and women are as well have to ask the questions about how we can't support the kind of art we say we want to hear exist. Professor James Peterson is out here, who called Lupe Fiasco classic. That was James Peterson. And Peterson is always talking about blue and all these, you know, he's talking about Lupe Fiasco as a genius, to say the truth. And then he talks about all these other artists who never make it on the radio, underground, who are quality, and we refuse to purchase them and buy them. Kanye sold 400-some thousand albums this week. Nicki Minaj sold 300-some thousand, probably the most since Lauryn Hill, and the most since women ever have been what SoundScan in 1991. So I'm saying, and I'm not here to dog Nicki Minaj. I've listened to the album several times, trying to determine the nuances and define that joint with Eminem. I mean, I'm trying to deconstruct that, right? Just the beat alone is crazy. And then, you know, so my point simply is that yes, you're absolutely right. We have to be accountable for our misogyny, our sexism, and the patriarchy. And I think that all of us then have to pressure not simply rap artists, and this is the point Lupe Fiasco made as well, but the society in which we live, the culture.